Hello and welcome back to the Final Flight podcast. We are here once again, even though my Wi-Fi seems to be a little bit dodgy. Myself, Rich and Joe are here. I'm going to go through the St Ledger meeting at Doncaster. How are the lads? Rich, how are you, mate? You looking forward to it?
Yeah, good to be back. Let's rock and roll.
About you, Joe? You ready to go through another big flat meeting?
I am, mate. I can't wait. I just hope this bloody rain stays away because I'm meant to be going on Saturday and I don't fancy watching the Ledger in the pouring rain.
Yeah, well, I'm actually there Saturday as well. Me and the missus are going. Luckily we've got a course view room, so we just chuck it down. I think I'll be sat in my room, supping me cheap wine with my binoculars on. I think watching Ledger.
I think it is due to rain as well, isn't it? So
I know
it's due to rain a little bit, yeah, but hopefully it's not. Hopefully it's not too bad. But yeah, fingers crossed we can have get a couple of winners, finish off the flat season near enough. Obviously there'll be a few more meetings to come, but obviously the jumps are creeping a little bit closer as we get through, but we're not quite there just yet. So we're going to deep dive straight into the Ledger meeting with the Friday. We're going to go through pretty much all the ITV races, so we should be able to watch all of these. Fingers crossed we can grab some winners. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick this little banner up, and we're going to start with the Friday, the 150, the Phillies Nurseries Handicap. It's a Class 2 over 6 furlong. And I'm going to let you, local Donny lad, Rich, kick us off. What are your thoughts on the first race tomorrow, mate?
surprisingly, I've not picked a favourite for this one. I know. The two I've looked at is Chinese Knot, Oshie Murphy rides. Third last time out at Windsor, was running on the finish and has some good form on good to soft ground. So if the rain does come, conditions shouldn't bother him. He beat Midnight Lear at Yarmouth, who's now rated 84, and I think that's quite a good yardstick for this. So I think he's about 9-1. So I think that's quite a good each way shot there. And the second one I've got, even though Haviland's on board, I've not let that put me off. I've gone for Jumeirah Breeze. Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Again, I think he's about a 9-1 shot. Still a maiden, but has been running fairly well with a couple of placed efforts. Finished second to 7 Questions, who is now rated 96 and has been placed in the Group 3. So potentially that could be some decent form. So they're the two that I've been looking at for this one.
I like it, Joe. I'm going to swing straight to you, mate. Are you thinking the same lines as Rich, or what's your thoughts, pal?
I'm not, mate. I've gone straight at the top of the market, to be honest. Obviously, he's won nicely over 7, so the 6.5 won't bother at all. He's won on the all-weather, standard to slow at Kempton, and if you have watched some of racing at Kempton tonight, it is very slow because we've just resurfaced the track not so long ago. So, yeah, that is riding slow, so shouldn't mind a bit of cutting the ground. Like I say, he's only had 4 runs as well, so he beat Progressive. We haven't reached the top yet. Definitely get the trips. He stays strong to the line over 7, so I have no problems with this extended 6. And he's won over 6, so he's obviously got speed there. Yeah, I think he's the right favourite anyway. I think he could go off shorter, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be probably in agreement with you there, Joe. I thought the way the favourite won last time out were quite a convincing win, and I think if he can take that sort of form into this race, he looks ahead of his mark. I thought so. Yeah. I'd be all over him. I think he's going to go and win this. I do quite like what you said there, Rich. Sorry about your selections, but I just think it's going to be. I do think this guy's going to get backed in, and I think, like I say, he won't mind the ground or the trip. So I think he's a pretty good shout there, to be honest, Joe. I'm just trying to get my thing back up because it's just gone off. 1 second. Yeah, like you say there, Buick on board. I think he's going to have a strong chance of taking this first race on ITV personally. Sweet. Yeah, so that's 2 for Chick Columbine, and Rich has gone for a couple of outside losers. I mean, chances. Sorry.
I'll take second and third.
Yeah.
Nice little trifecta there for any of the fans watching. Lovely. So that's a nice start. So we're going to go straight on to the 225 then. This is the 2-year-old stakes. Big price pot here. It's a Class 2 over 6 furlong. We've got some nice types in here. Dragon Leader, obviously, for Buick. And Johan Brahms is an interesting one in here for Ryan Moore. I'm going to go the other way around, Joy. Are you thinking it's just between the top two, or can you find anything in this handicap that might come through and take it?
No, to be honest, mate, I think it's a 2-horse race. I was there when Dragon Leader won at York. I was on board. I'd put money on, sorry. And
You're riding it with you.
I thought he was impressive. Raimu actually rode that day. But I feel like Johannes Brown, we haven't reached the potential that he's got yet. I wouldn't say he was unlucky at York, but he looked he was pretty babyish beforehand. They took the time with him literally followed him round the parade ring and then took him up there. And I just thought, like, in the last sort of furlong, he got a little bit of argy-bargy with the eventual winner, and he sort of didn't really want to get past. If you look at Doncaster, Johannes Brown is drawn in 17, and I think Dragon Leader's drawn in 6 or so. So you're going to have to get over. Johannes Brown can get straight to the rail, which I think will help. And I feel like Dragon Leader will give him an easy lead, because I feel like Dragon Leader will get it up front on his own. But I feel like if Johannes Brown can get over straight away, get a lead, and I think Ryan will just follow Dragon Leader around and pull out, and off he goes. I think, like I said, I don't think we've got the finished article of Johannes Brahms yet, and I would be disappointed, to be honest, if he didn't beat these, because I think, the horse Dragon Leader went off 6-1 at York. I think if he was thought that much of, I think he'd have been going off a lot short, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I think on the... Go on.
Sorry, the only worry I had with Dragon Leader 2 was he's raced on good and good to firm. Now he's a horse that likes to get in a roll up front, and he really does like press on and gallops. I feel like the cut in the ground might not be so good for him as he was a non-runner when the going was soft before.
Yeah, I suppose. Just looking at Johannes Brahms there, I suppose his form is on good to firm, good to yielding would maybe sway it towards him. Obviously, if it does come up really soft, I suppose it depends how much gets into it. But do you think it's between top two, Rich, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think it is between the top two. My only worry with the Moore ride is he's got to concede £10, and I think that's quite a big ask. I don't think there's a lot between the two, and giving that extra weight away, being drawn in 17 potentially might just be one hurdle too many for him to overcome. But I think he does bring the best form in the race. He was placed in Group 2s, placed in the Gimcrack. He was second in the Windsor Castle at Royal Ascot. So you can't look the form. He probably is the strongest form. And Dragon Leader probably hasn't reached that sort of level yet. But like I say, it's a big weight swing. And outside of that, I've kind of looked at is Grey Cuban. Danny Tudhope rides. It's about 33-1. But he handles the softer conditions. He finished in front of the Coffee Pod, which I believe Joe backed at York at the weekend. So a bit of a boost there. He finished way down the field to Dragon Leader at York last time out, but that was on good to firm, like you say. He's back on softer conditions, should bring him a lot closer. And I think at 33, he probably will happen his odds. But like I say, the probable winner is going to be the first two in the market.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah, I think I appreciate both your comments there, and I think I agree it is between the top two. And I think personally, I am going to sway towards Dragon Leader. I think I might have to have a little bit on the old Buick double to kick us off tomorrow, because it sounds a little bit juicy to me. But I understand the ground concerns, but I think the ground concerns are pretty much for all the horses. You're not going to have horses coming here that are going to like soft ground too much. But I just think the weight allowance that Rich mentioned there is obviously a big factor. Now, it doesn't always work out that way, but I just think the way that Dragon Leader won at York, he just looked so progressive, and I just think he could probably kick on and potentially take this with that obviously slight step up in trip half a furlong. I think it'll suit him massively. So I think I'm also going to side with Dragon Leader, and I think Buick could have a decent day tomorrow. So fingers crossed, boys.
Yeah, like I said, I do think it's between them two. Can't see anything else in there.
Well, saying that, then it's obviously going to be a massive price winner that's going to win it.
Yeah, and probably Rob Avlin.
Chuffing him, I've got up. I'll be so glad to hear back of his name after this season's finished. Brilliant. Right, so we're moving swiftly on to the 3 o'clock, the male stakes. Now, first group race to go through for the fillies. A group 2 over a mile. You got some nice horses in here. Darnation, Romanova, Hard to Resist, See the Fire, that sort of thing. I'm going to come to you, Rich, mate. Who's your thoughts in the first group race of the week?
I mean, Darnation sets the standard. She won the group 3 over 7 on soft conditions. Was slow to break and still won going away. So you can't knock that form. The one I kind of do like is Hard to Resist. Tom Marquand. He was third in the same race, won by Darnation, but didn't have much room to manoeuvre 2 furlongs out and have to switch position. And she was still rallying within the final furlong to take third. So I think the step up to a mile should bring her a lot closer. Another interesting one is Set the Fire for Oisin Murphy. Oisin Murphy, should I say. Takes a big step up in classic, only won a maiden, and now takes on the rest in the group 2 here. I think they must think something of her if they're going to take that big leap forward. I mean, she's by See the Stars and Arabian Queen, I think. So she's quite well bred. It'd be quite interesting to see how she runs. But yeah, I quite like Hard to Resist in this one.
Nice. What about you, Joe?
I looked through, to be fair, and obviously the favourite does look very strong, but there's a few. I know Rich mentioned the Tom Marquand's ride tomorrow, and I believe Safi Osborne was on that day. And I watched that race back, and that was one of my notes as well. I would fancy that one each way. Looked for all the world that was never get out and would be given up on, but managed to get out manoeuvred and did keep on. Another one I do like is Le Blues, Ryan Moore on board. Good jockey bucking. And this horse has form ties with Fallen Angel, that absolutely bolted up in Ireland. Was about 3.5 lengths behind, but I think he gets the ground he wants. He went over to France and didn't perform too badly in a Group 2 on heavy ground. Now, I think the heavy ground was just too much over there, because we know they can say good for. If they say good there, it's normally yielding, and if they say yielding, it's normally soft. So I do think it was like bottomless ground, and I do think they want a bit of cut, like I say, as form ties with Fallen Angel, who's gone and boosted that form to unbelievable amounts. And I think you can get about 8-1 now. It did open up at 12s, come into about 8. I think it's a good each way bet, to be honest. But like I say, I think the favourite is a worthy favourite, but I think you could probably take him on.
On yours, Joe, Grey Cuban, the one I mentioned the race before, finished second to him at Newmarket in a novice. So if Grey Cuban bolts in, get on board.
Oh, yes.
I like it. I mean, I've just sort of had another look through there, and it's going to feel like I'm trolling here, but I'm going to go for another Buick ride. I'm 3 from 3 on Buick, so I'm going for the treble, obviously. But I quite like this Romanova. I know, obviously, I mean, they must think a lot of him to throw him into a listed race first time out. He showed a little bit of promise, but has come obviously 7th of 9. But to be chucked into that sort of level straight off, they must think he's a decent horse. She's a decent horse. Then she's come out in a Salisbury race and won quite convincingly by a wide margin. Second's come out and won since, so the form's been franked. Obviously, it's the favourite does look pretty solid and has some good form over on soft ground as well. So you know that horse is going to go well. It's been running in Group 3 level and stuff like that. So it's a big step up for a few of these. But I just think at an each way price, I'd probably have a little squeak on Romanova. And fingers crossed she finishes off the treble for Buick tomorrow. And I'm partying down the street with champagne on Saturday. Oh, fantastic. Love it, lads. Right. The next race is going to be the 3:35. Just let me make sure I've got the right one. Park Hills Filly Stakes, another Group 2 for the fillies and mares. Now we've got a favourite in here, Sumo Sam. Won well last time out. Golden Lair, a Boogie Woogie and the rest. Joe, what are you thinking, mate? Are you fancy another filly, another mare? What are you thinking?
I have gone for Ching Shi, yeah. The step up in trip looked the right move last time out. Was beaten 1.5 lengths by Arrest, who is well up there now in the Ledger market. Don't get me wrong, I think this horse was sort of ridden out the back. Others tried to keep up, so might have looked the placings might look a bit better, but did pull about 6 lengths clear from the rest of the field. Now she stepped up again, another furlong, and she was plugging on against the rest. Don't get me wrong, I don't think she was ever going to beat her, but them two were drawn away further clear than the rest of the field. And I think you can get about 8-1 here, which I think, like the last race, is just another good, solid each way bet. Because I mean, we know the flat's been treating us recently, don't we? You've got, what was it, Doom 1-25 turned over the other week or something.
I can't believe it, mate. I had a whole £25 on to win £1.
But yeah, mate, that's the only disappointing thing, which obviously I know Oisin will have to. So we're Balding, but I did like Oisin on the horse, and I believe Probert's on, which I don't mind as a jockey anyway. So if I was picking one in this, it would be each way for Ching Shi.
You've got Jim Crowley on board, Joe.
Jim Crowley, sorry, yeah, Jim Crowley. Ching Shi.
Say it one more time, Joe.
Ching Shi.
Perfect. What about you, Rich? Are you with Ching Shi, or are you with Swing Shi, or something else?
I looked at the favourite. I do like the favourite, Sumo Sam. Very impressive in the Lily Langtry last time out, but that was a classic Tom Marquand run away with it from the front sort of ride, and he's on Golden Lira, I think, now. So I don't think she's going to get it all her own way in front, so I think that makes her quite vulnerable. There's a couple that I quite like. Crack of Light for Haggis. I know Tom Marquand's picked the other one, but I feel like this is a kind of shot to nothing what they're trying to hear, because he's never ran this, or she's never ran this far, should I say. She takes a step up to 1 mile 6, but has been placing over in France. Has been placed over 1 mile 4 in a Group 3 on soft. So I can see why they're rolling the dice at 1 mile 6. So I think potentially she's quite unexposed at this sort of trip and could spring a surprise. The other one I quite like is that Night Sparkle for Andrew Balding. It's her first run for Andrew Balding since the switch yards, and Oshi's on board. And I think that's probably quite a statement that he's throwing her into this Group 2. I mean, she has been running quite well for a previous trainer, but I think this is quite a bit of a step up. So they're the two kind of ones I've been looking at.
Mm-hmm.
I like it, mate. Yeah, I mean, like I say, I've had a little bit of a look, but I quite like the one you mentioned there, Joe, Ching Shi. I do think if the horse can back up that run behind the rest, I think that's obviously quite strong form there. But you kind of got to bank on her being able to do it again. And
yeah,
I think
exactly.
Sumo Sam, for me, I do think she's a good favourite. Obviously, the run at Goodwood was on heavy ground, and obviously she got a really good ride out in front, and it was always going to be tough for the rest to catch her in them sort of conditions. And I kind of hope she can do the same again. Whether they'll give her enough rope, I don't know, but I think if she can get a decent ride, Ross O'Brien's obviously on. He's obviously a great jockey. He's flying at the moment, doing quite well, and I think 4-1's a pretty fair price on banking on her backing that up. Fingers crossed she can do, because obviously she won really well, but it's one of them. It's quite a tough race to decide. I do think a 4-1 favourite. It's not a bad shout taking an each way price on Sunday. I'm not sure I'd do the muggy each way on 4-1. I know certain people in there who I spoke to before would do. But I'm all about if it's not 5-1, it's not worth it. So I'll probably have a little small win bet on Sumo Sam, and obviously the missus is called Sam, so I kind of have to swear that way. Otherwise, I'll probably get my head bitten off if it wins, and I go chuffing hell, look, it's won. Oh, fantastic. Right, lovely. So a couple of nice fillies in that one. So we're going to move on now to the Saturday. I'm going to kick off with the Flying Scotsman.
You mean Friday, James?
What day am I on? Friday.
Friday.
Oh my days. Here we go. This is where I'm all to. What day are we on? Proper professional outfit here.
Friday.
So this is Friday. The Flying Scotsman's on Friday.
Yeah. Correct.
Is that correct? I have lost all track of days. I have got an excuse, but I won't go into that. I'm not going to depress everybody. So the 150 at Doncaster on the Friday and the Flying Scotsman listed race. War Rooms is the favourite local era. Warm spell in here. Obviously been a nice horse for us in the past. What are you thinking here, Rich? What's your mind on here?
I like Warm Spell. Winner
It's
last time out in Newbury in a novice. Third has come out and won since. Was eased down the line, still won it by over a length. So I think that's quite impressive. Second on debut to Thunder Blue, who's been tried in Group 2s and Group 1s recently. So potentially behind a smart one there. And I think she's got a good chance in this assisted level. Another one I quite liked was Royal, is it Zabil? I think it's Kevin Ryle and your favourite, William Buick. Won by over 7 lengths last time out at Pontefract. Probably didn't beat a great deal, but was staying on well over on the last, I think it was over 6 furlongs. So the step up to 7 should suit. And I think he's about 14, so could potentially that one is old. But yeah, I like Warm Spell.
Fantastic.
Just turn the light on as well.
You what, sorry? I'm going to say, I thought, is it a little bit later on it now where you are, Rich? I'm not too sure. What about you then, Joe? What are you thinking, mate? Come on, let's have it. You want Warm Spell or something else?
I quite like Local Hero in this. I thought it was visually impressive on debut, and the clock sort of backed it up as well.
It's a non-runner, Joe.
No, it isn't.
Yeah.
You're joking.
No, I'm joking. Sorry, mate.
I was going to say, I checked as I was coming up the stairs. I checked all my notes.
Sorry to scare you. No, it's not a non-runner. You're all right.
Hannon's run at a 26% strike rate in the last 14 days, which is absolutely ridiculous. I think at the tail end of the season, I think he'll massively come on as well. I did watch the race and I was watching the program as well, and he was very, very babyish. He looks pretty versatile on the ground, and he had a very good turn of foot as well. And I don't think Sean Levy asked everything from him either. He gave him a little shake and a little sit and ridden him out, but he didn't seem to throw the kitchen sink at it, which I feel like gives me that bit, there's a bit more there. They've saved a bit up the sleeve, and I think come on nicely for it. So I'm going to go for Local Hero.
Fantastic, mate. Yeah, I quite like that one myself, but I think the one I'm going to go with in this race, I'm going to stick with Rich. I think Warm Spell. She the horse has done well for us in the past, and I'm like I said, the debut behind who was it? Rich Blue. Sorry, Thunder Blue. I thought was a decent run first time out, and the win last time stepped up in trip on good ground. So I don't think it's obviously going to be soft ground. I don't think it'll be too bad for us. So I can or him. I've lost all track of who it even is here, but Warm Spell. I think Tom Marquand can give him a good ride. I think he's going to go quite close. I think he'll take the step up into listed level quite well, and fingers crossed he carry on improving, because obviously we were on last time out, albeit a short price favourite, but we absolutely love a favourite, don't we, Rich? Come on. I think at 13 to 2 is a decent each way price, so I'll be taking a little bit of each way on Warm Spell and sticking with that one, who is turning into a little bit of a podcast favourite.
Oh yeah,
fantastic! Right, are you there still? I didn't know if I cut out there. Apologies, lads. My Wi-Fi at this end's a little bit dodgy tonight, so we'll try and crack on. So the Flying Childers Stakes, a Group 2, Class 1 for 2-year-olds in this one. You've obviously got Big Evs making another appearance on the 5 furlong. I can't even say that one. Inquisitively, we love pronouncing horses on this podcast. Flora Bermuda's in here. Killian obviously reopposes. Are you all back on the Killian train, or have we all realised that he might not be as good as we actually think? What are you thinking, Joe? I'll come to you, mate.
It's a strange race. Obviously, Killian's last race was getting loads of weight, but he just didn't seem a bit behind the putt. Didn't seem to be at the races that day. I thought Killian was given an absolute shocker. I do think that Ryan Moore booking is positive, and I think he will be on the premises. But the one I do like, and I know I've had him on the podcast before, is Flora of Bermuda. I think when you look at this horse, it's a perfect example of, I think there's a lot of people on the flat where, say if a horse finishes strong over 5, they think the horse will definitely get 6. I think this horse is definitely a 5 furlong horse. And I know it showed that out last time when he just didn't seem to stay the 6. He's back down to 5. The ground is at the moment described as soft, where his only win came from. And I say he's only win, but he's ran very well. I feel like he's had a lot of unlucky races. He is drawn well, and he is a very strong finisher. And I do believe this will be the chance for Flora of Bermuda.
I love it. What about you? What about you, Rich? Are you similar form lines, or are you going somewhere else?
Yeah, I've just looked at Big Eves and Killian. I think they're the two best ones in this. Killian had a shocking ride last time out. Ryan Moore back on board, like you say, I think is a positive. The only concern I've got is the soft ground. This one's all about speed. And I think if there is a bit of cut in the ground, I don't think he'll be able to stick the afterburners on. Big Eves, I think, is the one I'm going to land on. So trying to take on the older ones in Thorpe and got found out. Back down with his own age, he's just been battering these. Soft ground won't bother him. I mean, he won at Goodwood on soft. I think the track will suit. It's a big galloping track. I think he's a decent price. I think he's about 3 or 4 to 1. I think that's some good value. But yeah, I like Killian. I think he's 5, so potentially a backable each way sort of price, and might reverse it. But yeah, Big Eves I think is the best sprinter we've seen so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would agree. I think I'm not too sure on Killian. I do understand the ride last time out. Obviously, we watched it and it wasn't the best ride. And I think Big Eves or Big Evs is probably the one to beat. But I do actually really like the one you've mentioned, Joe. I like Flora of Bermuda.
Yeah.
I think that obviously I put a complete line through that last run on Good to Foam at York. I think that you can just put a line through that and forget that run. He obviously didn't run his race that day. But you go back to that Goodwood ride on soft ground back over 5 furlong where he beat Juniper Berries. And Juniper Berries has obviously come out and run a Group 3 since. So that form's been boosted quite well. So I think back on soft ground, which we know it's going to be, back to 5 furlong, which I think is the trip for Flora Bermuda. I can see Big Evs taking him along a merry dance sort of thing, and Flora Bermuda coming through late on and picking him up. To be honest, that's probably the way I'm going to sway. And I think you're getting sort of 6 to 1 for Flora Bermuda. I think it's a cracking each way bet. To be honest, mate, I think that's a spot on one for you there, Joe. I'm well in board with there, pal.
Yeah, 100%. It's been backed in as well. It did open up at 10s. So someone somewhere fancies it.
Yeah, or we could see a little bit of an Augusta Roden style thing where Killian just comes out of nowhere and Ryan Moore does the business and does what should have been done last time, but we shall see. Yeah, I quite like for Bermuda there with you, Joe. So I'm going to say with you 2-1. Rich, you're going to get beat. Don't worry about it. Right, love it. So we're going to move on to the Doncaster Cup, which is a Group 2, 2 mile, 2 furlongs. Had some really good winners of this race in the past. The likes of Coltrane, Stradivarius has won this a couple of times. So it's an interesting race. It's a shame we've only got a 5 runner field, but it's not a bad little 5 runners. Coltrane in here, Trushan, who surely we can't have on soft ground, surely, if I can remember that correctly. Sweet Williams, an interesting one in here. Broom, again, I can't have Broom on soft ground, and the Grand Visor. What we're thinking then, is it just Coltrane's to lose? Joe or Rich, who wants to go first?
I'll go. Obviously, Trushan does like this soft, but being off for a while, I'm not over that one. My only worry for Coltrane really is how quickly the turnaround has been from York and how hard a race. Don't get me wrong. I think in the end, won it pretty comfortably, and I don't think a tactical affair would sort of be against Coltrane, because I think this horse can go from the front. Took it up quite early with Oisin and from Quickthorn, and then just seemed to stretch and lengthen. I don't think they'd rush this horse either. I don't think if Coltrane did come out the race, it would, that I don't think that they would just run the horse. Obviously won it last year as well. Know exactly what they need to do. I think Sweet William, I just think it's too much of a step up. I'm not a great fan of Havlin either. I think Coltrane will take all the beating. And I think Ryan Mowat knows exactly how to play this horse, when to kick it on.
We do well to kick Coltrane on when he's on Broom, Joe.
What?
You said Ryan Moore.
Oh, sorry, Oshin. Did I actually say Ryan?
You full on said Ryan Moore knows how to kick this ass, and I thought you're going to do well when he's sat on the yeah,
No, mate, Oshin.
I know he's good. I know Ryan Moore's good, but I didn't realise they were that good.
No, sorry.
Oh,
mate,
go on
Oshin.
then, Richie. Is it a procession for Coltrane, or what are you thinking? It's a bit of a poor race. Well, not a poor race, but tough one to decide.
Yeah, Coltrane wins, doesn't he? That's all you can say. He won it last year. I mean, he's the best. We've not seen a superstar stay. Kyprios has been out for God knows how long. All right, we saw him last time out, but he's not been fit. Coltrane is probably the second best stayer now. Stradivarius is retired, so like I say, he's probably not superstar material, but he is the best one we've got. So
Yeah, you know what you'll get.
Yeah, he's been running. He runs a solid race. He finished second last year in the Lonsdale Cup and then took this. So I don't see the turnaround be too much of an issue. Trushan ran him close just last year, yeah, but could you trust him? I mean, finished fourth last time out on good to soft. I don't think it'll be potentially soft enough for him. Maybe I think he probably needs real deep sort of ground. I would imagine Coltrane to take this, and if you're going to want to back Trushan, maybe wait till Ascot. Maybe. I mean, yeah, Champions Day. Trushan won that last year, so I think this one is Coltrane's to lose. Personally, I do like Sweet William in this. I think he's got potential. He looked a group horse running in handicaps previously, and like you say, Havlin is on board, but he's quirky. I quite like him. He handles soft ground, won't mind cutting it. I thought he was quite unlucky in the Ebo. I thought he had a chance to go and win that, but maybe it came too soon. Who knows? So I think he's well within his right to try and have a go at this sort of race and maybe finish second to Coltrane. But yeah, Coltrane for me.
Yeah, definitely, Rich. Just a quick one there, sort of boy. When I did look at this race, I was sort of in the camp with you, looking that I think they're just running Trushan here to get him ready for Champions Day. Like I say, we've seen horses come off breaks. Kyprios, I know that's an extreme, but Coltrane, like you say, done it last year. I can't see this one beat.
Well, lads, you've heard it here first, but Sweet William is about to absolutely bolt up in this.
I do like him. I think he's got potential to be a group horse, but
you might correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought I saw that Broome had been retired, but I may be wrong. Obviously he's in here, so that's an interesting one if he has been retired, but I've obviously got that wrong. But I do think, obviously it's a quick turnaround for Coltrane. I thought Sweet William obviously is bolted up at the Goodwood race on heavy ground, and we're all saying, group horse in a handicap, and I've sort of got a personal attachment to this horse now. I think he just progressed as he went. Obviously, the run at York behind Absurd, he was a little bit unlucky. Maybe the ground's got a little bit quick for him, but he still managed to run a massive race. And I just think back in softer conditions and back on softer conditions, and a step up in trip is going to suit him absolutely down to the ground. So I'd be more than happy to take a chance when you're looking at sort of 4-1 on him stepping up again on the level. Obviously, Coltrane is a short price. You're looking at 6-4, albeit I think that's it's coming to 6-4 a little bit now. And I can't have Trushan at all on soft ground. I think you're right. I think it's a complete prep run in a group race for him, probably for down the line when they're hoping for maybe a bit better ground. Whether they'll get it or not, I'm not too sure. And I can't have the other two. So in my head, dissecting this race from somebody on the outside, I'd be thinking it's a 2-horse race. Basically, it's Coltrane or Sweet William. And I'm more than happy just to stick a couple of quid on 4-1 on him winning that, even though I put up Coltrane the race before last, when obviously he got beat by what's-his-face, Marquand's ride, where they give him about 4 furlong start. And then I went against him at York for some reason, or whenever it was last time. And he's obviously gone and won, so I'm going to go against him. Yeah. So he probably will win. But I'm more than happy to take a little chance on Sweet William, taking the step up into group company back on soft ground with a step up in trip. Fingers crossed it can go well.
It's maybe one to watch the weather, see how much rain does come, and then make your decision potentially.
I think there's going to be plenty, don't you?
Yeah.
We'll see how much it affects it. They'll probably water it as well. I know what they're like. Right then, lads, we're going to move on now to the last race on the last race we're going to cover on the Friday. Are we on here? I've lost all track of days. The 335, the Betfred Mallard handicap, Class 2 handicap. Have you managed to find one in here? It's quite a tough race, obviously a big field. Well, there's 8 runners. Have you managed to find one in here, Rich?
I have no opinion on this race whatsoever. If I was going to pick one, I would maybe side with Real Dream for Ryan Moore, but there's nothing really jumps out to me on this. I wouldn't be having a bet for me in this race. If I was, Real Dream is the one I'd probably side with for Stout. Won at Ascot, won quite convincingly, odds on, but then flopped at York. But maybe the ground potentially had an impact in that. I mean, he won on good to soft, and it was good to firm at York where he flopped, but it's not a real strong opinion.
Could be a quick one then. Have you found one in here, Joe, or not?
Yeah, I do like Real Dream. I did sort of have, after he won at Ascot, I had him down for the Ebor, and then he was drawn in the car park. He was drawn 23, and I know Ryan sort of kept him out wide, tried to bring him on the turn. Then he ended up in front, and then he had a big target on his back for horses who've been campaigning for this all year. And he just got swallowed up, and then Ryan just sort of took it easy right as soon as the horses come alongside. And to be fair, two furlongs out, I thought he stood a chance. Horses come alongside. Ryan just pulled the reins. I think that day was sort of give him a run, but look after him. We'll try and get a race down the line, a big handicap where, there's a big prize pot. We get better drawn. Everything's in his favour. And I do think everything is in his favour. I don't think he'll mind cutting the ground. Drawn a lot better. Like I say, he won albeit odds on, but he won a Class 3 at York by 4 1/4 lengths convincingly that day. So, these handicaps are hard at the end of the season because, different trainers take different routes. But Real Dream would be the bet for me. The only negative, really, I think he's about 7-2, so you're not going to get an each way price.
No, that's fair enough, mate. And like I say, I'm a little bit like Rich. I've not really got a strong opinion on this race, so we're all going to lump on the one you've just mentioned there, Joe. Fingers crossed it'll go well. Right, fantastic. So we're going to move on to the Saturday, and then we'll go through sort of anything else. We won't go too deep into the Sunday card, but if you've got anything else for that, then we can mention it towards the end. But we're going to start with the 150 on Saturday, and it's the Champagne Stakes. It's a Group 2. Over 7 furlongs, and I'm looking forward to one in here. So I'm going to let you guys go first, and I'll say my little bit of piece at the end. But I'm wondering if you can pick the one I'm going for. Let's say what you got, Rich. What are you thinking, Rich?
I like Sean Levy's riding this. Is it Rossalion? Rossalion?
Rossalion, yeah. Odds on favourite, shock.
Yeah, unbeaten this season. Won it.
Sorry to just stop you there, Rich. But what I'm going to get, I'm going to figure out how I can get like a klaxon sound for every time Rich backs a favourite and every time Joe backs a non-runner. Carry on, mate.
Yeah, so he won last time out over 7 in a listed contest, beating a horse I do like, Ancient Wisdom for Godolphin. I think that's quite good, probably the best form in here. Second has come out and won next time out at Haydock over 1 mile on a listed contest, so I think that is solid. He's by Blue Point, another sire that I do like to look into. Godolphin also has an interesting one in this. Is it Ablan? Is it
Ablan.
Another unbeaten one? That's the one. Won the Solario Stakes last time out, but it's going to be some race. But yeah, I think Sean Levy's ride is probably the strongest form in here behind Ancient Wisdom, beating Ancient Wisdom and a few other highly rated ones. So that's the one I'm kind of swaying towards.
I like it, Joe. You swaying towards the same way or something different?
It's a strange one for me, mate, because I did really like Iberian, his last run. Seemed to do everything wrong and was running on strongly at the line. But Rossalion, like Rich said there, he's a very classy horse. I mean, you could tell that, you look and you think, oh, Rossalion beat a field by 4 lengths. There must have been, crabs. And there really weren't. Ancient Wisdom was in behind, some real top class horses who had big reputations. And before that race, it was a well talked about race, and it is a well, a good race for form lines on the flat, and Rosallion made it look like a procession, really. And to be fair, I don't think Rosallion will have to do much to improve to win this. That's my only worry about Iberian. He will have to improve. He will have to iron the slow start out, where Rosallion just looked a nice temperament, very easy, So I'm going to stick with Rich on this. The klaxon would be sounding, and I would be picking a favourite. And I know James is shaking his head because he did like the horse that I mentioned.
Yeah, I think I'm going to take a punt on Iberian here. I think I did actually put him up last time when he comes second, and he won his first race at Newbury. But if you go back and watch the Goodwood race, obviously he's absolutely, got the start all wrong, and he's still sort of passed everything and come with a big run towards the end. And for a sort of a bit of time, I thought he was going to go and win anyway. But he's obviously gone down a length. But he's had to come wide. He's had to, a shoddy start and things like that. And I just think you can mark them sort of runs up. Now, obviously, it is a big if. He does have to get the start right this time out. Yeah. But that was on good to soft ground, and obviously it's going to be soft. And if you go through sort of resilience, he's obviously run on good and good to firm. So it would be a little bit of a question mark if it does get soft. But I think for Iberian, you do know he's probably going to stay with the way that he run that last race. And I do think at 8-11 on, I'd be happy to take him on with an 11-4 Iberian. I do, obviously I really like the horse. Marquand's on. I mean, obviously the Rosselli could go and bolt up. The form is there; it's strong. We know that, but I just think there's a little bit of a niggle. But I just really like Iberian. I think if he gets that start right, that last race, he probably bolts up there. To be honest, I think we'll be all sitting there thinking he's probably won a race by 4 or 5 lengths, and it might have been there'd been a lot closer in the market. So a little bit like one of my other favourites, Heredia. She got the start wrong a few times, and she finally got it right. It finally clicked for her, and she went and bolted up in a couple of good races. So I'm happy to take a chance on that Iberian can go on and potentially get the start right and go on and win and take down.
Shaquille finally got the start right, and look what happened.
Well, obviously it didn't work for Shaquille. He's better off they're better off just saying we'll set off and then let them go and then let us go, and we'll be all right.
I tell you what, that was the more. Every single bookmaker that morning boosted Shaquille, and then the start, the gates open and she bolts to the front. You think game over, won, and then all of a sudden handbrake comes on, done. I was like, oh god.
Yeah, well, it's how it happens. I mean, bookies, they know what they're doing when we always see all these super boosts. I mean, I know they probably win. They probably do win more often than not, but the amount of money they probably gain from one getting beat, or when the super boost, the doubles and things, it's just a nightmare. But we won't get into bookies and all these affordability checks and all that sort of stuff, just completely destroying the game at the moment. So
it's been a bad season. We've not had a star stayer, not had a star sprinter. They've all been beating each other this year, haven't they?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when you go through the flat season, I mean, it's the first time where myself, obviously being a massive jumps fan, I've really got sort of stuck into it deeply, and it's so tough. It's so much tough. And people might say, look, it might be they want more competitive racing, but there's got to be a point where you think, chuffing hell, I don't want 28 runners doing 5 furlong where some at 100-1 wins. It's just you're never gonna get anywhere. But it's some people's cup of tea. But all I know is, lads, we're 4 weeks to go. 4 weeks to go, and we're nearly there. So don't you worry. We are rolling and rocking and rolling towards the jumps. But we won't talk jumps in this Doncaster St Ledger Meeting preview because we do stay true to the flats a little bit, seeing as it's 2 versus 1. But right. So we're going to move on to the 225. Now this is obviously a really, really tough handicap here, the Portland handicap. I mean, there's currently 34 entered in here. There'll be 22 runners max over the 5.5 furlong trip. Have you managed to find one in here, lads? I'll come to you, Joe. It's a bit of a minefield. What are your thoughts?
Call me Ginger, mate. Call me Ginger. To be fair, I've sort of just had a brief look at this race. The jockey has a great sort of relationship with this horse. Won the 3 on the bounce. Seems to win every time, not by great margins, but pretty snug. And I just think if this horse does get declared and gets an ideal draw, will be sat smuggled in and will come with a run. Whether it's good enough or not, I don't know. But certainly from the names perspective, I will be backing, and it'll bolt up for the Gingers.
I like it. What a way to pick an horse. That's what we love to see. You come here for this detailed analysis. Why we're backing it? Because he's a ginger lad. Come on, then, Rich. What are your thoughts, mate? Are you on something different? What are you thinking?
Yeah, there's two I like in this. One of them is sort of my cliff horse, probably everybody's cliff horse. Dakota Gold is entered. Connor Beasley's up. Not really been firing this season, and potentially you could argue that 6 furlong is his ideal trip. Probably 5 furlong.
Back on soft though, like soft ground.
Yeah, that's what I've noted. He's back on soft conditions, and he's back down to the same mark that he won Doncaster. Last time he won was at Doncaster off the same mark of 100. So you've got to say he's got a chance. He's a front runner. It's all about, can they catch him, I suppose. He needs to break well. If he doesn't break well, then he's probably got no chance. He's not passing horses, put it that way. Another one I kind of like is King's Lynn. I think this one potentially is quite a good sprinter. So was second to Nymphadoria, who was won a listed race at York this season. Runs off 104 as well. Last win came off 108, so you could say potentially he's well in. But again, these 5 furlong handicap sprints, you've got to have a lot of things going for you. You need to break well, and you know what can go wrong. So, but these two, I think they're about 16 to 1 when I had a quick look at the market. So they're quite big prices, and maybe small each way, doubles on both of them. See if anything sticks.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I had a little, obviously a swift look through. We don't know who's going to be sort of put in here and declared and things like that. And to be fair, as soon as you said Dakota Gold, I thought, how in the world has he managed to find the only one that I've sort of swayed towards? Obviously, great minds think alike, don't they, Rich? But
everybody's favourite horse. Everybody backs it.
Well, it's one of them, innit? I mean, you go back through the form. Obviously, his last couple of runs haven't been the best, but you know, back down to his last winning mark, which obviously come at Doncaster, soft ground. Like you say, if he breaks well, he's got the same as chance as most of these, to be honest. And at 20 to 1 currently, best price with whichever bookie that is. I don't think it's a bad each way. I think it's not a massive betting race. Obviously, none of these big field handicaps are massive betting races. It's more just, you know, see if you can find the winner. And if you do, great. And you've done amazing. If you don't, well, just move on to the next one. It's not the be all and end all, but I do think a big price. I'd definitely take a little bit of a chance on the Dakota Gold. Why not? 20 to 1. It's not a bad each way price. And like I say, back down to that last winning mark, back on soft ground, and goes and we know he stays well. 5.5 furlongs, not too bad. Says your last one on 6 furlongs. So I think it sort of lines up to be will be looking like a big run coming. I think, to be honest.
Call me Ginger.
Call me Ginger. If Call me Ginger wins, I'll dye my hair. That's a joke, by the way. Right, so the next one is the second to last race we'll do before we do anything else is the 3 o'clock, the Park Stakes. Group 2, over 7 furlongs. Spycatcher's the current favourite audience, Sandrine. A couple of others in here. Broadhurst, who was obviously a pretty impressive winner. Not jocked up though, so whether that also run, I'm not too sure. But what are your thoughts on this one then? We'll come to you, Rich, and you're the other one looking at me.
Spycatcher. I think he brings the best form in this. He's a winner last time out in France on a Group 1. Yeah, it was over 5 furlongs, but he has won over 7. Handles softer conditions. I just think he looks a cut above the rest of these. And I think he's a good thing.
He come second last time out.
Did he?
Yeah, in a Group 2.
Yes. Oh, sorry. Yeah, a good second last time out in Group 1 is what I've said on my notes. So I didn't read that correctly. But he did have Art Power and Cold Case in behind him. And I think Cold Case is quite a good horse. So I still think it's the best form.
Yeah, I mean, I've got it up to have a look through. You know, he's got some pretty nice wins in there. He's beating like a Mount Athos. Mount Athos is a pretty decent horse, so I think he's got some good form in there. What about you, Joe? What you think? Are you with the favourite or somewhere different?
No, mate, I'm a Richie. Spycatcher, we love the soft ground. Won a Group 3 impressively in Deauville. He was meant to run in the Betfair, but was an on-runner because the ground was too quick. And to be fair, when you look at this for a Group 2, I don't think it's a very deep Group 2 at all. I think this could be a pretty easy, simple win.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of them. Obviously, we're going off what we can see here, but I do think it's going to be a triple threat, lads. When I had a look, I do think the favourite's going to be the one to beat. I think, Clifford Lee on board. Bert's got him saying a nice one. I can't have audience with Robert Avlin on because I just don't like him as a jockey, let's be honest. Sandrine, I'm not too sure, but I think
if the rain comes, it could be a proper heavy sort of ground. I think this horse will.
Well, that's what I mean. Like you say there, you've got that form over in France. I mean, that's on very soft, and when it's over in France, it's definitely very soft. And to come a short head second in a Group 1, and then after you've won a soft ground Group 3 the race before over in France as well, I think that, to me, you're bringing that sort of form into what could be a pretty heavy day on Saturday. I mean, I don't know how. I mean, it could easily be heavy ground come Saturday. They were going to have that much rain. I mean, I've been looking at forecast day, and it just looks like sort of showers on and off all the way through, really. So it just depends how much gets into the ground. But I do think Spycatcher is going to take all the beating in this, to be honest. And I think if it goes well, I think it's going to take something decent to come and beat him on this sort of conditions, to be honest. So I think it's a 3-way tie for Spycatcher, lads. Love it.
Love it, 100%.
Right, then, here we go. So, the big one. Let me just get rid of that. The St Ledger. So, the Group 1 on Saturday, the 3:35, the St Ledger. It's finally here. It's finally arrived. The market's been all over the place. There's been rainy. Is it going to be dry here? Nobody knows, really, but we think it might be quite wet. But you've got Gregory in here, a 5-2 favourite, Continuous, Arrest, Desert Hero, Middle Earth obviously got supplemented, so that's an interesting runner. Tower of London's coming for a bit of money since been declared. Chess Piece, Rich's favourite horse for some reason. Alexandropolis, who was obviously well touted early on, and Denmark's the massive outsider. That is the field currently for the St Ledger. It's currently soft ground. What we're thinking, Joe, I'm going to come to you first, mate, and then we'll come to the Donny lad after. Let's hear it, mate. What's the winner?
Denmark.
66 to 1, you heard it here. The thing is, though, Joe, I'm pretty sure you've done this before where you've had a joke and it's gone on one. And we all were like, what in the world has just happened?
Was it about 40 to 1 or 20 to 1? I said, I've got a tip for this. And I said the rank outsider at 1.
You did, you were like, so-and-so, and we were all like, oh, don't be stupid, you're talking rubbish. And it went and bolted up. Ah.
No, but on a serious note, it is tough, but I do like Middle Earth. I was there when he won at York, and he was very impressive. Now, I don't think there's a superstar in this group, to be honest. But Nakib, who Middle Earth did just narrowly beat the time before York, has boosted the form, winning about 4 lengths, I think. Like I say, he was very impressive at York, very confidently ridden, I'd say, out the back. And I think he went from last to first within 2 furlongs. And you had Denmark in there. But I think he won, very comfortably. Obviously he's been supplemented for this. The only worry for me, I'd say, is the ground. I know I've seen some interviews, and they all say you need a classy horse and you need a fast horse as well. But I don't know whether the ground will suit. A lot of his form is on good to firm. But I think that's for most of the field in here. I know that's the same for Gregory. But I would probably take a chance on Middle Earth at a good each way price.
Middle Earth, then each way. What are you thinking, Rich? You're obviously, your house is 30 seconds from Doncaster. You must know the weather report. You must know the millilitres of the ground. I want to know exactly who's going to win this race. Let's hear it, mate. Come on.
Well, it's dry currently, so that's a good sign. Yeah, to me, it's going to depend on the ground. If it is a quagmire, I would probably be looking at like a Rest, and I think Desert Hero's got some quite good form on soft, heavy conditions. So for me, it depends how much gets into the ground. I mean, Arrest was he favourite for the Derby at one point after winning the Chester Vase on heavy, soft conditions. So he's obviously got ability, and it'd be interesting to see if the rain does come, whether or not. I mean, is Frankie definitely riding Gregory? Is that
currently jocked up on Gregory?
I mean, if they do get a quagmire, it wouldn't be surprising me if Gosden pulls Gregory and Vittori switches to Arrest. maybe.
Yeah.
So yeah, weather watch for me. But if it is a Quagmire, Desert Hero, and a rest of the ones I'll be looking at. But like you say, Chess Piece is one I've been following all season. I think he needs a test, and I think he'll get a test here, even with the soft conditions. I don't think will bother him. I mean, if it's really bad, he's probably not faced that, but he does look an out and out stayer. I mean, I was there at York when he was running a handicap, and he looked to have no chance 2 furlongs out, and he was off top weight, and Ryan Moore just kept on going on him, and he kept plugging away, and he somehow managed to win that handicap. And like I say, I think he needs a good test, and I think he's about 10s, and I think that could potentially. I mean, he probably should have won last time out, but Desert Hero pipped him, and I was gutted. But yeah, like I say, it depends on the weather, but Chess Piece, and then if it is really bad, a rest or Desert Hero for me.
That's fair enough. I think, obviously it is going to be interesting. We weren't expecting the weather, but fingers crossed it don't get into the ground too much. And if it is just a soft ground, I don't think it's going to be too bad. But obviously you go through the form. But I think the one I'm going to side with is Continuous. Now, I thought that York run was really impressive, and I do think this is, for me, is the horse to beat off the back of that. I think, he's obviously come second to King of Steel at Ascot and then gone and bolted up in the York race. And when you go back through his form, he has got a win on very soft ground, which was over in France. Now, to me, that kind of puts him in the although albeit one of the races the horses were disqualified, but he's got good form. He's got form there on soft ground, and I just think he will be able to handle it. And I think if Ryan Moore's jocked up, I mean, obviously Aidan O'Brien's got 1, 2, 3, 4 in here, but you'd expect Ryan Moore to be on Continuous surely. And once he is, I think it'd be one of those sort of Aidan O'Brien, Ryan Moore, absolutely stealing the show. And I think, like you say, I'm not sure it's going to suit Gregory at all. Do I think Arrest could beat Continuous? I'm not too sure. I quite like Continuous, and I think 4-1's a fair price. Middle Earth obviously looked really impressive. It's been supplemented, but we know it doesn't always work that way. But obviously, he's only had 4 runs, could keep improving. And if it takes to the ground and it don't mind it, you'd certainly have to be. I could definitely see him being in the places. And obviously, if you take out that last run for Denmark, he was only a length and a half in behind Middle Earth, and at 66-1, you'd have to be thinking, well, you never know, could outrun the odds. But I think personally, the one I'm going to side with, rain or shine, is going to be Continuous. That's what I'm going to go for. 4-1. There we go. Lovely, fantastic. Right, that's it for the weekend, lads. So obviously we're going to move on to the anything else. I know there's obviously a Sunday card as well, but I've not really had a chance to look much through that. So we're just going to bob the anything else up there, and the floor is yours, Baker lad. If there's anything else you've noticed over the weekend, let us know.
Well, just one for tomorrow. I know it's been well talked about and absolutely hammered in the betting, but it's Gallantly. Meant to be Aidan O'Brien's best. He hasn't run it this year. I know Heffen said, didn't he, when they said, who's the best horse taken into next year? And he said it hasn't ran yet. And it's come out that it was Gallantly. It runs tomorrow at Naas in the last race. So, I mean, it's no price to be backing up. But if you want to put it in maybe a double or, just have a watch and then look at where you think it's going to go, I'd probably say that. But that's it for me. I know Rich will have a piece of, some names as long as his arm. So sit back and listen.
Hopefully.
I don't actually, end of the season. There's not many that are coming. They're out. But just on that one, Joe, if he's better than City of Troy, then he must be some animal.
I know exactly. Well, like I say, to be honest, the question is, would City of Troy beat Henry Longfellow? You don't know, because I know the stewards did look into that, didn't they? About obviously Henry Longfellow opened up at 7s, I think, was backed on the morning till 4s, pushed Bucanto Fuerte out, and then brought City of Troy out. I think the City of Troy is going the duos, but like you say, if Gallantly is better than them, he must be a very, very good horse.
O'Brien's just got the best crop of 2-year-olds we've seen this year, so if they train on,
100%.
he'll clean up next year.
I mean, I did look, and I think his strike rate at Naas with like maidens newcomers is 23%. I mean, that's unbelievable, isn't it?
Not
Yeah,
bad.
he's definitely the best one. I mean, the boys in blue have struggled this year, and it's been very disappointing. But they've been buying at the sale, so we'll see what happens next year. Anything else? Not too many. I've got Queen Emma on Friday at Doncaster 4:10. Good winner last time out. Again, I think could go in. 4:45 on Friday. Lethal Levi. He's one that's been mentioned a few times.
Another Cliff Horse.
Another Cliff Horse. He'll probably bolt up at some point, and it could be Friday. I just remember Carl Burke saying at Ascot that he thought he had a great chance and didn't come anywhere. So that ability must be in there somewhere, and potentially it could be unlocked on Friday. On Saturday, you've got Chester 2:00. Blue Stocking potentially could be out.
That is a good bet.
I know this was quite a talked-up horse last time out. It ran. You'd like to think that he should be winning something like that. 5:20 at Doncaster on the Saturday. Enfajar is one that I quite like. Didn't really cut it in the Group 3 in the Jersey Stakes at Ascot, and is dropped into handicap here. But he won a novice by 6 lengths, so I think there's something in there. And if he can unlock it, I think he should be winning a sort of a handicap like this. And then I had a quick scan over Sunday at Doncaster. Coppice is one that I quite like. I thought this could be potentially a group horse. I'm not sure. I think he runs in the handicap now, maybe. But like I say, if he does run, he'd one to be quite interested in. And that's all I've got this time.
Fantastic. Well, that's what I like to hear, lads. Like I say, it's going to be a decent weekend. I know the flat's not winding down, but we've got a few nice meetings left to go before we move on to the real stuff. But fingers crossed we can finish off the season strong. And we'll finish with the naps and next best, and then we'll have a little bit of a final word, a couple of things to talk about. But yeah, let's say your next best for the weekend then, lads. What's next best? Joe?
My next best is Spycatcher.
What about you, Rich?
Yeah, mine was Spycatcher as well, but just so we're not all the same, I'll say Big Eves or Big Evs as my next best. This Joe's going with Spycatcher.
Well, my next best is going to be continuous in the St Ledger. I think that one's going to go really close. And let's have your nap of the weekend, Joe.
Call me Ginger. No, Coltrane.
No.
Coltrane.
Coltrane's a nap for Joe. What about you, Rich?
Yeah, Coltrane's probably the standout.
I'm not going to be the same.
I mean, yeah, Spycatcher and Coltrane was my original pick, so it would have been an exact match.
My
nap's gonna. What's that say, Joe?
Spycatcher and next best Nat Coltrane.
Right, well, my nap's going to be Iberian. He's finally going to get his head in front. I'm telling you now, it's going to go and win. And I'm going to throw another one in there. Sweet William wins. Sweet William wins this weekend. Mark my words. And if it doesn't, you won't see me anyway, so don't worry about it.
I've to win the Doncaster Cup. That's a big call.
So the final word, obviously, we are wrapping up the flat season and we are going to be looking forward to the jumps coming up. So they'll give it a little quick word for, obviously, the jumpers to follow. Mini-series is still running. That's going quite well. We've got 4 weeks left to go, so there'll be 4 episodes. The book's available for for donations. Obviously, we've nearly raised 250 quid so far, which is pretty epic, is that, to be honest. So thank you to everyone who's donated to that. We're going to have quite a lot of stuff going on with jumps. We're going to have all sorts of stuff, so loads of stuff to get excited for. And I know the flat boys can't wait to get stuck in, can you, lads? So fingers crossed we can roll on into that. And obviously, I've also on my Twitter, I've put out my Patreon group that's going to be having loads of write-ups, loads of previews and things like that. So make sure you check that out as well. And fingers crossed we can have one big successful season. Can't wait for it. But first, we've got the Ledger, so fingers crossed we can have picked the winners and a few decent horses for the weekend. So have you got anything you'd like to finish off with, lads? If you've got a final word, say it now.
No, mate, just enjoy the Ledger. It's probably, it's one of the last classics of the year.
It's the last classic.
Yeah, I thought it was.
Last and oldest classic.
Yeah, last classic of the year, so enjoy it because after this one, you'll start and hear jumps.
And like you say, that's when it all kicks off, boys. Come on, the jumps. Come on. Any final words, Rich? Come on, the jumps.
Yeah, just enjoy it. I hope the weather doesn't spoil it too much. You know, we have a mud bath and it all goes out the window. But no, I enjoy the Ledgers. It's a good meeting. Like you say,
yeah, go on.
Like you say, it's the probably one of the last main ones before we kick off with the jump. So yeah, let's enjoy it.
And if you do see us there at the Doncaster on Saturday, feel free to say hello. I'll be there in my raincoat with my umbrella wrapped up, freezing wet through, but I'll be probably dressed in champagne as well. So fingers crossed we can have a cracking weekend.
You'll be in the parade ring with Rob Havlin after he's won on Sweet William.
I mean, I will. I'll be on it. I'll have Havlin on my shoulders by end at night. I'm telling you now. Oh yeah, one other thing. Obviously, the other big news for myself is me and the wife have finally taken the dip dive into ownership. We have a share in a beautiful chestnut-looking horse called Blazing Soldier. So we're looking forward to seeing him run very soon. But if you do like to get into a bit of syndicate, I said I'd give him a shout out. It's the Racing to Profit Syndicate. Seem like a decent set of lads and a good setup north of the border for us northern lot. So fingers crossed that'll go well.
You've got big dreams, haven't you, James? Gold Cup 2026.
Yep, he's going to be. He'll win the Brown Advisory in a couple of years, and then he'll be heading on to the Gold Cup, no doubt. Fingers crossed. I'll be taking on the mighty Willie Mullins and things like that. So yeah, we shall see, boys. Right, it's been a great evening. I love talking about racing. I hope you all enjoyed listening. Anyone that does listen, when they do get round to it, fingers crossed we can have the winners, and we shall see you next time. This has been the Final Flight Podcast. We shall see you next time. Goodbye.
Goodbye.